play tomorrow. To see the recent success of the conference, 4 teams in the top 25. What's that like?
Well, that's always been the goal. I don't know that we'll ever get back to the glory days when, we're getting 9 out of 16 and, something like that. But, you want to try to, build a conference that every game that you play in a conference situation means a lot and should be, should be a test. Our players know this. It's been the case at Connecticut for 30 years. That every team that comes in here, or every team we play that's a conference game, that's the game that they're looking forward to. So you can't even go by, well, here's how they played against other people, here's what their record is. None of that. You just got to expect their best effort all the time. And we played Iowa, and she averaging 4 points a game, and she makes 6 threes, right? I think she had made 1 or 2 for the season. But you almost have to expect that. And our goal is to, first and foremost, always, win the conference championship. And tomorrow's the first step in that direction.
And to have those, 4 ranked teams for the first time since realignment, to have, 3 of the country's top 5 scorers in the conference, just how have you seen kind of that grow within the Big East, kind of see the conference improve since you guys have rejoined?
Well, we've only been in it a couple years, so before we got in it, I think there were 4 teams getting in the NCAA tournament, and I'm incredibly supportive of our coaches and our teams in the league and how they've done against top 20, top 25 teams, and that's only going to continue to improve. Peer pressure does a lot to you. All of a sudden, if you're one of the other teams and you see that there's 4 teams in the top 25 and you're not one of them, I think there's a competitiveness among the coaches and among the players. So I would expect that it's only going to get better and better and better. And I would think at a minimum, I think we have 4 NCAA tournament teams right now. Could there be a 5th? I bet you there could be. So there's no reason why we can't be at that level every single year.
You take a little bit of pride in raising the bar each time you join a conference. People kind of have to keep up, or?
Well, like I said, they were pretty good before we joined. Coming from a league where we were lucky if we ever got 2, to here in the Big East where they were already getting 4. I think getting us to that 4, 5, 6 maybe down the road, who knows? But that takes a lot of hard work. It takes a lot of work by our schools and individually, the schools and the players and the coaches, everyone, to keep raising the bar, and keep pushing it.
Do you think your team's body of work is all the more impressive considering that you and your staff had to pivot in planning? When Paige went down, that's a major pivot, is it not? And I'm just wondering if you could tell me about what was important to address and how to attack the season once you found out you were dealing with kind of different personnel.
Yeah. Well, when June started, summer school started, and we got a chance to see our team for the first time. We didn't have Caroline, and we didn't have Dorka. But as we looked around and we're thinking, okay, we've got Paige full time, we got Ice full time, we got Yana full time, we got Lou. wow, the players that we've added are really, really good. They're really going to contribute. And now you add Dorka and Caroline to this mix, it's going to be really, really, really special. And, we left, it's almost like, we broke training camp, and that's what we have in mind. That's what we're going to do. That's our game plan. And then all of a sudden, things change. And, this is the offense we're going to run, because we're going to play, for a national championship. And then your quarterback's going, and you go, okay, what's plan B? Well, I think we can still throw the ball inside more this year than we have in the past. And I think Dorka and Ice are going to make a ton of shots from the perimeter and help us. Then that plan went away. It's just been one thing after another up to this point, but I'm more impressed than I was initially, because of what we've been able to accomplish, given all that the players just seem like we haven't missed a beat. This is what we do. This is how we practice. This is what we're going to do. And we'll figure out a way to do it. Every game, we'll figure out a way to do it. And to be able to be where we're sitting here right now, I don't know where we're going to be a week from now or 2 weeks from now, but I think we proved a point, to ourselves and to the other teams around the country, that whatever they thought might happen. Now, that don't get me wrong. There's going to come a bunch of games where we're going to look around and go, yeah, now it's all caught up to us, but that hasn't caught up to us yet.
Would you say you're vastly different stylistically than you would have been had Paige been your point guard? Did you have to make?
We're not as fast.
Yeah.
We're not as fast. The ball doesn't move as quickly. There isn't another 4 threes going in. There's not another 10 assists. It would be bad for Nika. She wouldn't be averaging 25 assists a game, because Paige would steal about 15 of those or 10 of those. But yeah, it would look completely different in both the transition part and the half court part, and the half court defensive part would look different, way different, but it's not going to look the way it was going to look, and that's okay. That's okay. It's okay. We might not get the same style points we would have got, but hopefully you get the same number of wins.
Do you develop mental toughness, or is it just the kids that you have here that are kind of built to struggle through things and still come out on the other end?
Yeah. I mean, how do you build mental toughness other than be put in tough situations that you have to kind of fight your way through? How do you know if somebody can take a punch until you punch them? I mean, you can say all you want about, yeah, that kid's tough, or this kid's tough, or I'm tough, but you have to be put in a situation where you have to prove it. And maybe because of all the experiences that they've had, a lot of these guys, maybe there's a sense of there's nothing that we are going to face that we haven't already faced in the past, and we believe in ourselves. There's probably nothing more important than individually and collectively having a true and real belief in yourself. Because if you have that, you feel like you can overcome anything. And individually, for the most part, now not everybody's at the same level. And as a team, this team believes that we're good enough.
Did they believe that before this road trip, or do you feel like this road trip brought a lot of that belief in?
I think it was there before we went out to Portland, but again, it reinforced it. That trip didn't give it to us, but it gave us another opportunity to prove it. And you were in two completely different kinds of games, right? There's two distinct kinds of games. distinctly different. And we were able to handle both of them. Not as great as we would have liked, both games, but we came out of there feeling pretty good about ourselves. And also, when we watched the film, pretty not so good about ourselves based on some things that we saw.
Just looking at the Huskies of Honor, there's like half a dozen guards up there that average no better than 6 a game. You've got a guard that's at 10.8, and the other thing that's unusual is the percentage of the assists on your team. She has half the assists. When Sue set the record, she had like a quarter of the assists. I know she's playing with Diana. Is there something different about the offense that one player is sort of dominating the assist category, or are people just making shots and getting out in transition for her?
I think it's all those things. All those things added up. You know, if you remember, a lot of our offense over the years has been everybody touches the ball. Well, we have a couple guys on our team that when they touch it, they shoot it. So you're not getting too many assists when you do that, which is fine with me because the ball goes in the basket. I mean, I got a text from a friend of mine one night. He goes, "Yo, AZ had 30-some points, 0 assists. I love it. I never want her to pass the ball." You know, that's the mentality that, you know, that's out there, and rightly so. So you have that aspect to it. You have that for so many years we've had post players who were tremendous passers. They either were or they developed into them. So we ran a lot of our offense through them. Remember, Gabby got 100 assists a year. You know, Steph got 100 assists a year. Stewie probably did too. So this year we haven't necessarily used that aspect of it. Not yet, anyway. So there's a lot of factors that go into it. And again, you have to be able to make shots. Somebody passes it to you, you still got to make them.
Do you like this offense? I mean, certainly, last year you averaged 70-something a game. While the sample's small, you're at 87, but you've done it against really good teams.
Yeah.
So, as far as it goes, are you happy with, and do you think it is better?
I'm not crazy about the level that we're executing offensively right now. I think it'll look much better when Dorka comes back. That's one more big kid, one more ball handler, one more experienced, flow guy, that she knows how the offense is supposed to flow. So it'll only get better. It'll only get better. But you saw in the Duke game, it was a lot of stagnant, wasted time. Same thing happened the first half of the Iowa game. And then you saw stretches in the Iowa game where it looked like we could have scored 120. How fast we scored, how quickly the points piled up. So as all of that starts to come together, I don't think it's going to get worse. But we've also played teams that have wanted to run up and down the floor too. There's going to come times when you're going to play teams where they just are going to not want to play like that. And then it's going to be like, do we have the ability to make them play like that with our defense? So a lot will show itself as we move along here. But there are times in practice where our offense looks amazing. And there are times when it's a little bit of a struggle.
How did, Dorca's doctor's appointment go? And is there, any update on her timeline for it?
Yeah, she's supposed to get a splint tomorrow. What does that mean? I don't know. She's doing more workouts. She's touching the ball more. She's involved, with basketball stuff more as opposed to just conditioning stuff. So, all I can tell you is she's not playing today or tomorrow. And Sunday, I would say probably not. And then after that, I think it all depends, what her reaction is.
There's been a lot of punch back analogies going on. You brought it up, some of the players brought it up. Are you gonna get them in the gym? Are they gonna do some boxing? Like, what are we doing?
They're all talk. They're all talk. We have a couple fighters. We have a couple guys that you don't want to fight, but you know, sports is competitive, right? And you have to have a certain edge to you in order to be really good. And you have to have a certain fighter mentality in you. And you have to walk out on the court every game and expect a fight. You can't be surprised that it's a fight. You know, I don't think any boxer walks into a ring, and when they get hit, go, "What are you doing?" I mean, you understand it, and then you're ready for it, or you're not ready for it, and that's a problem. So sometimes players want it to be easy, like, "Hey, we're UConn. Roll over and die for us." And then this team, I think, understands, I hope, so far, that it's supposed to be a grind. It's supposed to be hard. It's supposed to be a battle. You know? And they're ready for it. And they've responded. To your point, there's been a response. There's been a good response, a response that I like so far.
When you did have to pivot a little bit this summer, there were no signs of, I know you brought Enesh in late, but it's not like there were signs of you scrambling around looking for a transfer.
No.
So does that speak to like the talent and the confidence you guys had, and this season could be about what we have, not what we're missing?
Yeah. Well, you always have to look at it as what do we have. You know, you can't worry about what we don't have. But believe me, if there was a dynamite player out there dying to come here, I'd have gone out there and, you know, picked them up in my car and driven them here. But at that point in time, you're really not dealing with anybody that all of a sudden is going to step in and help you win a national championship. So why bother? You know.
Maybe there's enough of them on the team already.
Maybe there are, and I think we're going to find out. Hey, listen. And this starts with me. Nobody thinks that we're going to go undefeated. Nobody thinks we're going to run through this season and just, you know, beat everybody handily. It's not going to happen. You know, if it happens, there should be some kind of investigation into, you know, whether the other teams were betting on the game or something. I don't know. But there's going to come some really tough times for this team. Some real gut check times. Maybe Sunday. Maybe next week. Maybe the following week. I don't know. Maybe in January. I don't know. But it's coming. And when it does, I think hopefully we'll find a way to handle that as well as we've handled what's happened so far.
And, you know, having the conference just where it is, how do you think that's going to test this group even more?
Well, Villanova beat us last year at the XL Center. I don't think they're going to, and we didn't play them down there last year. I think that game was canceled. Mm-hmm. I think.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Right. Mm-hmm. So you say, well, there's no way you lose to Villanova at Villanova. Really? Why not? You know, Creighton at Creighton. That can't be easy. Hell, we had to go into overtime to beat DePaul last year at DePaul. And every game we play with Marquette since I've been back in the league has been a slugfest. So, and I haven't even mentioned, you know, what could happen with some of the other teams, but that's the way it's supposed to be. You know, CD and I laugh all the time, you know, when people talk about that, and I'm like, I think they forget a lot of times that, you know, what we've been through when we were in this league the first time. You know, you're at Notre Dame on Thursday, and you got Rutgers at home on Wednesday, and then you're at Louisville on Saturday, and then you got DePaul here, and, you know, you just kind of go on and on and on, and you go, there was never a break, ever. So we're used to it, us as coaches.
Morgan got promoted to assistant GM with the Sun.
I saw that.
Have you been able to talk with her about it? What's
Saw
like seeing her rise up in that front office?
Well, I haven't had a chance to talk to her yet. But I do know that the person who made that decision must be really, really smart. I mean, she was really smart when she played here, so she didn't get dumb. So I think Jennifer understands the value that Morgan brings to your organization. She's smart. She's tough physically and mentally. She's observant. She has a great demeanor. And she's someone who has the ability to relate to everybody. So when I saw that, I was really happy because whatever job Morgan was doing, I knew she was capable of so much more than that. And it wouldn't surprise me one bit if down the road she's not a GM somewhere else, minimum, maybe even more than that. I don't know. But Morgan was like she is now when she was a freshman. So I'm thrilled for her. I like to say that. Morgan was old when she was young.
Can you talk about what it meant to you to be named to the FIBA Hall of Fame?
That was pretty interesting because it really came out of nowhere. I really wasn't. It's not like Naismith, where everybody keeps reminding you that you're eligible. Hey, you're eligible. This just kind of came out of nowhere, and I was really kind of taken back. I really felt like FIBA, international basketball, USA basketball, as much as anything in my career has helped me become the coach that I am and not stay the coach that I was. And I had to become that in order to be able to win at the level that the U.S. has to win, internationally. So to be inducted and to be thought of in a group of those people, I have so much respect for international basketball. I mean, some of those coaches are so far ahead of the game and their thinking that it's really something to be in their group, in their company.
You and Hank Iba, right?
Me and Hank Iba. We're the only coaches? No.
Oh, I have no idea.
No,
This guy.
I think you're probably the only one with
Yeah.
multiples, except Chris. I don't know if
I think I
Krzyzewski-
counted 20-something coaches are in there.
20 American coaches?
Well, 20 coaches overall.
Oh, all right. Yeah, I'm sure there's been, I'm sure there's been quite a few. It's not like I inherited a really terrible team at a country that doesn't play basketball and go out and win a bunch of gold medals. I mean, I was given the best team in the world and said, don't mess it up.
Have you seen progress in Ayanna?
A little bit, yeah, a little bit. Mm-hmm. Yeah. She's just overly excited. She plays with an exuberance that helps her and gets her in trouble. And each day, she gets a better handle on all that. The things that she does are uncoachable. So to have somebody like that on your team, and probably the best thing that happened on that trip, she went 4 for 4 from the free throw line. Because there's always a thought, in your mind, she's a freshman or whatever, can she make free throws in big games? Because the way she plays, she's going to get fouled a lot.
With AZ, as well as she's played, it hasn't always been a smooth, even 40 minutes, but is learning how to be a more even player throughout the entire game, just a natural part of development for a player? I mean, she's still pretty young.
Yeah, I mean, against the level of competition that we played, who in the country's done what she's done? Zero. And it would be unfair if she put together 2 halves every game, because she'd be averaging 45 a game. So she has a lot of growth. She's got a lot of room to grow in every way, every area of the game. She has a lot of responsibility on her shoulders. She plays 40 minutes every night. She has to handle the ball a lot. She guards the other team's best guard, other than, Nika guards the point guard. But so we've asked a lot of her, and she hasn't, she hasn't shied away from it. And yeah, when you see what AZ does, you almost wonder, like, how do you not go 15 for 15 from the 3-point line? How could you ever miss a wide open 3? How do you ever miss a pull-up? We start to make our expectations of her absolutely unrealistic. At least mine are unrealistic for her. If she ever misses a shot, I'd get pissed. I'd say, Mo, let's get her out. She don't have it today. She's 0 for 2.
Aaliyah said that you've gotten through to her about how important practice is to maintain
Jesus
her
Christ,
level
it
of
only
play.
took 3 years, right?
Do you get a sense of that, though? Is
Yeah.
she practicing harder?
Yeah. Her practice yesterday was a perfect example of that. And my point to her was, all these players that we've had here that have been extraordinary, it's because they did extraordinary things every day in practice. And I challenged them every day. I remember Stewie one day in Gamble had this moment where the entire gym just stopped and gasped. And it was like a wow Hall of Fame moment. And I remember we won a national championship that year. And then that spring, she was walking through Worth, and I said, Stewie, you're going to be a senior. Here's my goal. Remember that moment? She said, yeah. I said, that was a wow moment. How many of those did you have last year in practice? Because if you can count them, then you didn't have enough of them. So there's things that I expect from our best players to do in practice that shows them why they deserve to be talked about as All-Americans.
Getting to earn that PK trophy alongside the men's team and just seeing how there's already students lining up at 10 a.m. for the men's game tonight.
Yeah.
What do you think that says about UConn?
It's basketball capital of the world, right? We were, then we weren't. Now we are. Anybody who was at that tournament, anybody who watched them play, those 3 games, came out of there thinking, I don't know where we're going to be ranked, but anybody watching today, this weekend, doesn't want to play us in the NCAA tournament. They're so good, they're so deep, they're so talented, they play so hard, they're tough-minded, their young guys are just unbelievably ready to play college basketball, and the students recognize that. And it's Storrs, Connecticut, and it's wintertime. It's like, you have your hat, you have your gloves, you have your tickets to the game. You got those 3 things, then you're all set.